How was your Western States in 2012?
Oh, it was awesome. Number one, it was that cold year.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. And I remember coming in and seeing you at Dunkin', and I looked at you and I'm like, I am eating I need a lot more calories. And that's okay because it's cold out. You need those calories.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, I just want to make sure I'm doing it right. That was my best Western States.
That was the year Timmy Olson won.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I started working with him a year earlier because he was having the same problems you were.
Yeah. And Nikki had the same problems. And I remember talking to her about it. And she said, yeah, I started the puke thing at around 7 years into ultra running, racing. And I was like,
Nikki Kimball, right? Nikki
Kimball.
Yeah.
And I said, me too. And that's when she started because of those issues with why does this keep happening? And so, yeah, there's something with that.
John was the first puker I was working with. And then you became the second puker, and then Roxanne, and then Timmy. We're talking about some of the best ultra runners at that time, right?
Yeah.
In the world. And then Nikki came along a couple years later.
And
but it's if you're doing a lot of carbs and trying to run, especially in the heat, it's not a question of if you're going to have a problem, it's when and what form. And I've said this numerous times before, but if somebody hasn't heard me say it again, they're listening to Jenny's podcast, you think of your GI tract as like a tropical rainforest. And because that's what your epithelial cells are, it's the forest. And then within that forest resides your biome, which is your first line defense on your immune system. It takes care of a lot of things, mitigates a lot of stuff before your immune system does. Well, when you're running at a high level, your body's reducing blood flow to those epithelial cells. It basically puts your GI tract on sleep. Now, if it's colder, not so much. If it's hotter, the hotter it gets, the more on sleep mode it becomes. So you're reducing the oxygen flow to those epithelial cells, so they don't have the oxygen. You're having all this intake of easily broken down sugar, because maltodextrin is just glucose polymers. Sucrose is glucose and fructose, and it just breaks down. And that level of sugar intake causes a huge amount of oxidative stress. So you're literally, reason I use that analogy of a rainforest or that kind of ecosystem is you're literally burning that rainforest down to a stubble over time. It doesn't happen immediately. It happens over time. And there's a whole bunch of variables. If you were born cesarean, or if you had a lot of antibiotics, or if you have candida, Jeff Browning he eventually developed candida, but you burn that epithelial cells down to a stubble, and then all of a sudden your biome can't reside very well. And then because you're feeding the biome with sugar, you're shifting the biome to more sugar loving type of things. And then that inflammation, because the blood flow is reduced, that was my epiphany. You guys were my epiphany, because working with you and John and Roxanne and Timmy at that point, I was like looking at the physiology books and talking to guys, Dr. Steve Finney. It's like, God, people are destroying themselves and they don't even know it.